So today I'm going to talk to you about performance monitoring and data-driven decisions at Telus. So who am I? I'm Wasim. I am a lead developer at Telus Digital. These are the avenues in which you can connect with me if you'd like. And what are we going to talk about today? So first off, like our journey, because we weren't always like this and we weren't always data-driven. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about why metrics matter and why you really need to, track the correct metrics, and it's really important in order to grow your business. And related to that, why performance matters. And then I'm going to go into one case study in interest of time. We can only go over one, and that's with our device Catalogue. And looking forward and what kind of things that we're doing at Telus. So our journey. So if you rewind back 3 years, this is kind of the feedback you would get from our team. It's internally and across the greater organization. It would take us, sometimes 12 months to update one page. People had very limited faith in our team. We had no strategy. And our customers were saying the same thing as well. These are kind of comments from Opinion Lab on our website. And we couldn't respond. We were stuck in these 18-month capability cycles. We had costly projects and change requests, and we were just stuck in endless processes and work approvals. And then we decided we had enough, or rather our VP did. And if you haven't seen this video, I really recommend it. It's about a lone nut, and our VP was the lone nut, and he decided that yes, things needed to change. So he grabbed a core group of people, and decided to just, change up the team. We're inspired by the lean startup, and what we wanted to do is go in with a strategy where we heavily invest in the latest technologies, embrace agile processes, design for performance, where it becomes one of the core design principles rather than an afterthought. And we wanted to have robust data and analytics to drive our decision making. And we had to change our environment too. We knew that if we wanted to do this, we couldn't work in our old sort of cubicle offices. And so we knocked it all down, and we created something more like this, where we had an open collaborative spaces, very open concept. Our VP gave up his office and took residence on the green couch that you see over there. And so, we were driven by, these guiding principles. We wanted to be customer first. We wanted to build products that, our customers actually wanted rather than what we think they wanted. So we wanted to do a lot of validation, and we wanted to be mobile first because we saw that about 50-60% of our users were visiting our website from a mobile phone as opposed to their desktop. So we needed to do that, and tied with that, make our experiences simple. And as you know, optimizing for mobile phones means performance really matters because the processes aren't that fast, connection speeds can be slow, and we wanted to do it all as a team. And this is kind of like our vision that we went forward with. One team, one dream, operating like a lean startup within Telus. And it sounds all good 3 years later, but unfortunately there was a lot of hurdles along the way, and we definitely learned a few lessons through the trenches. So in interest of time, I won't bore you with all those details, but if you want to follow our journey, we've been blogging about it. We wanted to be very public about our journey, all the good and all the bad. So if you want to read more about it, labs.telus.com. But into the meat of the discussion, why metrics matter. And to kind of illustrate this fact, I wanted to go over a study the Harvard Business Review did a couple of years back, and I think it illustrates the point very well. So there's a company, the organization called DoSomething.org. You may have heard of it. Who are they? They're a global nonprofit for social change. They empower people to do run campaigns for various social good. And in 2011, they ran a campaign. It was a YouTube video that was requesting that people donate sports equipment to people in need. It was a really big deal, included a lot of celebrities, it got a lot of publicity, and these were kind of the results they got. They had 1.5 million views on that video. It was twice as popular than any video to date. And the question I ask is was this a success? And if you just look at these sorts of numbers, you could be tempted to say yes, it was. But if you deep dive into, the data a little bit more, you'll find out that only 8 viewers actually signed up to donate, and there was actually 0 actual donations. So this, leads us to say that video views, does not equal success. And this was actually a vanity metric. It sounded all good, but it really didn't have any meat behind it. And what this kind of leads to is that this idea that you can't always pick your data, but you have to pick your metrics, and you have to choose metrics that are good. And what makes good metrics? They have to be comparative. They need to be data that's tracked over time and that leads to actual business outcomes. They have to be understandable. If it's too complex, if a person outside your organization doesn't understand it, it's probably too complex. And last but not least, and I think the most important, it has to be behavior changing. I mean, if it doesn't stir up something inside of you that says, okay, something needs to change and we need to act on this, then it's probably not a good metric. And I found this funny comic that kind of illustrates that. If it won't change how you behave, it's a bad metric. But don't take my word for it. You should test it yourself. And how do you go about finding these good metrics? And the first step is ask a question. You do your research, construct a hypothesis. You say that, yeah, I think that doing this will lead to these sorts of outcomes. And you iterate and you measure over time, and you see how that changes. And you'll have to always keep this end goal or that business outcome in mind, because what is the purpose in which you are taking these actions? And so this kind of segues into performance, and it's definitely a type of metric that you track. And this is a quote that I picked up actually at a dev conference sometime last year. It was on a decal sticker, really stuck with me. I stuck it on my desk because I liked it that much. But it says, always work with the end user in mind, because performance is user experience. And why performance leads to better experience can be a whole talk on its own. But just to give you some examples of kind of studies that have been done, Mozilla did one a couple years back. They found that a 2.2 second decrease in load time actually led to a 15.4% increase in download conversion. Bing found that 2-second increase in load time actually dropped their revenue by 4.3% per user. And Telus.com, coming right up, we found something very similar. So these are kind of links if you want to check out more about the study. So this leads to our case study and the device catalog and how we kind of use New Relic to improve performance on this page. So this is the page. That's the URL. It is one of the key pages, especially on the mobility sections of our site, because when we're selling mobile phones, almost all users will be funneled some way, shape, or form through this catalog where they choose a phone and buy. And to show you kind of our technology stack, different parts of Telus use different technologies. This page in particular was on our Java stack. It was on Tomcat, uses MySQL as a database. And this is what we used. We use APM. A lot of you may have already used it, but it has a lot of tracking. You can filter pages by various filters like throughput or apdex. And if you don't know what apdex is, it's a measurement from 0 to 1, which kind of tells you how satisfied and dissatisfied your users are, 1 being the best, 0 being the worst. And so that's our page down there. And when you click into it, this is kind of what we found. And APM has a lot of cool features. It has, it really helps you drill down to where your problems are. And throughput is also really quite important, because with the throughput over time, if you're actually deploying something that's, could result in downtime, knowing when you have low throughput, probably a good idea to deploy then. But the breakdown table is where the magic is really. And you can see that this first section, which I'll dive into a bit more, is where 40% of our time was taken on this page. And when we dived into this page, this is what we found. We found tons of business logic ingrained in the view, tons of legacy code, and what was worse was this page was 5,100 lines of code, which was unnecessary. But I want to take a step back and kind of put this into perspective, and in the perspective it's Telus.com, because we have thousands of pages across Telus.com, and we're always making new pages, always building new products, and it's really hard to pinpoint a certain page. And so a tool like New Relic helps find these bottlenecks quickly, and it helps through the haystack find pretty much that needle. And this goes back to this idea of metrics. And our team, using lean principles, we want to bring work on things that bring the most value. And in this case, this is a key transactional page, and it would bring a lot of value. And you'll never remove all technical debt, so which is okay. You can have a healthy balance of technical debt, but you need to focus on what you want to work on. And defining metrics is how you can find that out. So what did we end up doing? We moved all the logic to the server side. We cleaned up the view. We removed the legacy code. We enabled a caching layer because the page was being accessed so much. And this is what we got. We ended up getting 5 times faster processing. We doubled our throughput. And actually, I checked it yesterday, and it's actually 4 times now. And moving the logic to the back end really improved our times. And talking about metrics, it actually impacted our sales as well. So before is kind of like sales that go through this page, and this is kind of like our predicted sales, and that's what we predicted would happen. But we actually launched this code right at the end of January 2015, and you can see that it really had an impact on sales. So, looking forward, what does this kind of mean for us? So, we're trying to create this culture of performance within our teams. And so what we've been doing is we've been creating these dashboards. And this is from a dev environment, so the numbers may not be accurate. But, we're using the New Relic API to pull in key data, and so that all teams can know exactly what they need to know at that point in time. And we're trying to create a culture of performance. And so, we have scorecards for our teams, and we have these live scorecards, and these cards are actually powered by various APIs, including the New Relic one, so that it's actually ingrained in our team's overall performance, and just determines everything from like our bonuses and stuff. And so if you want to get started, Insights is really great, because what we find is that if you want to get some quick data, you want to visualize a quick graph, put it in like a presentation or something, you can use Insights to really quickly mock up one of these graphs, and the New Relic query language is really great for that. So in summary, track relevant metrics. And for each company, it's going to be different, but find the metrics that are valuable to you, and then use that as a guiding principle to track performance and use New Relic. You need to create a culture where data and performance are important. It can't be an afterthought. It has to be ingrained within the process. As you're designing, as you're coding, as you're building, it has to be from the very beginning. And you need to give your employees the right tools to make informed decisions. And New Relic is really great for that. So that's it. I think I only have 15 minutes. Yeah, I think Q&A is later.